I'd like to welcome you to the Minnehaha County Commission meeting. I'd like you to invite you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, I'd like to remind everyone to silence their cell phones. The meeting documents are available for review on the ledge next to Commissioner Karski. And please contact Carol if you need a listening device. So that takes us to routine business. I consider a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Item number 2 is to approve the county commission minutes from June 13th, 2017.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Item 3 is bills to be paid in the amount of $628,209.98.
Pay the bills.
Second.
Any comments? Yes, Commissioner Barth.
Madam Chair, today's bills include about $200,000 for Metro Communications, some of which is passed through. And we have some other considerable expenses with the Highway Department. But again, this week we have over $20,000 going to outside attorneys on criminal defense.
Yes. All right. We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. So we have reports on file with the Rural Ambulance, the first quarter report covering January through March 2017. Dr. Luther, I thank you for coming. Did you have any comments this morning?
Good morning, Commissioners. Dr. Jeff Luther, your Quality Assurance Director for the County EMS. Just a quick couple of things, if I may. I provided the executive summary like I usually do that kind of just details what we have looked at. There were 380 ambulance calls in that time frame. I reviewed 110 charts that were submitted. Again, emphasizing that I receive information and data from two sources, Metro Communications and then the ambulance when they submit their reports, of which they're not all the same. So those are sifted and reviewed, and then I take out, for review purposes, the performance indicators that are important to the county ordinance. So those have been reviewed, and I'm confident and happy to report that those performance indicators at the basic life support level have all been met. They're doing a good job out there. A lot of these calls continue to be advanced life support, but there's work underway to a collaborative work that's working on that. So I'm confident that in the future we'll be able to even make that more clear. But just a couple of items I wanted to just clarify. One of these is the dispatch to en route time standard. Per the ordinance, what I review is the services get 60 seconds to acknowledge they got the call and then 10 minutes to respond. And we have, and I want to be fair to Garrettson, they're at 80%, but that's off this chart. It says results of quality review. And I would direct our attention back to the appendix of the report details, where if we look at Garrettson, if we look at their percentage of other calls, now other calls is different from other medical calls. Other medical calls could be the unknown problems, the sick person, the person that fainted or abdominal pain or what have you. But then we also have the other category, which is a catch tank of any kind of call that could come in that would require or request an ambulance. Garrettson has a very high percentage of nursing home transport calls. So in order to be fair to Garrettson, I don't think it's necessary to these calls are necessary, but I don't think it's necessary that they're held to a standard where they have to respond within 10 minutes to a transport. These calls could be anything to an outpatient service such as physical therapy or what have you. Again, it's a necessary call for the community, but it's at 80% just because of their higher volume of that call mix. So I just wanted to clarify that. So there's nothing wrong with Garrettson's response times. It's just the mix of call types happens to involve those transports. And if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to address those. Otherwise, it's pretty much the report that I've submitted. Very familiar with that. I promised Commissioner Barth about Narcan reporting last time, and it's fortunate we have that out there. It's unfortunate that we have to use it. We've had several instances where we have used Narcan in a field, and the outcomes are difficult for me to get because I don't know what the call was. This would have been an altered level of consciousness, and if the call is suspected opiate overdose, then the services now can render Narcan. And also our EMT basic road deputies have been using it. They just used it last month. Again, unfortunately and then unfortunately, we're going to see more and more of this used, but it's certainly a potential to impact positively outcomes from this epidemic. Other than that, I think that's about it. You will see some P1 increase from Paramedics Plus. You know, they're contracted with the city, and they also have a primary service area in the county, but it's a little bit lopsided because they also respond heavily to 500 North Minnesota, the airport, the penitentiary, fairgrounds, those sorts of things that are non-city, but they're there. So those calls are, I'm not quite sure, and I don't know if anyone really knows what we should do with those because those are sovereign to the county, and they still respond to those. So that can skew the numbers just a bit. So if you see that, that's the response for that. Other than that, I'm excited that, you know, going forward, there's several work groups going forward at the commission's discretion which way this goes, but nonetheless, I think what's underfoot right now is very positive. We've gotten lots of good work groups together, and if nothing else, I think we're going to have some good change coming out of this. That's sensible, reasonable, and also I think cost effective. I mean, if the commission even chooses not to do anything, and I'm regarding and respecting the results of the Fitch study.
Thank you. Any questions for Dr. Luther?
Madam Chair, I just know how hard Dr. Luther is working on this stuff these days, and this whole ambulance stuff has been sputtering for all these years, and it's boiling these days. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for coming this morning. All right. That takes us to item number 5. Consider a motion to approve routine personnel actions.
Motion to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. And Carrie?
Good morning. I have 2 special personnel action requests for you this morning. The first is a request to change the title of the Highway Equipment Services Parts Manager in the Highway Department to Fleet Supervisor. DJ's looked at that, and we've looked at the duties and responsibilities as well as the job description, and we feel that that title more accurately reflects the duties of the job.
Are there any questions? Yes, Commissioner Heiberger.
So is HR supportive of this change?
Very much so.
Any other questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes unanimously. So that takes you to your last item, Carrie.
My last item is a request for a temporary pay increase of approximately 5% for Francis Kennicke. He's our mechanic team leader at the highway, and he's filling in during the vacancy for the what has now been retitled the fleet supervisor position. So we had a retirement in that area. Fred will be taking over. It is standard practice that if somebody's taking over a significant amount of supervisory responsibilities in the interim that you give a 5% increase at this level. So we're requesting approval for Fred.
Commissioner Heiberger?
Where are we at in the recruitment or in the hiring of the new position?
We posted it on Friday, I believe, right, DJ? Yep.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Madam Chair, I'll make a motion to approve. That is our standard procedure in that situation.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you,
Thank you.
Carrie. That takes us to item 6, applications for abatement. Olivia?
Yes, we have 2 applications for abatement representing 2016 property taxes. We have RDID 35718 for Beacon Apartments Limited in the amount of $4,188.89. And another for Beacon Apartments Limited, RDID 53684 in the amount of $9,089.73.
Are there any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Olivia. Item number 7, notices and requests, there are none. Item 8, planning and zoning notices, there are none. Item 9, petition for compromise of lien, there are none. So that takes us to regular business. Item 10, to consider a request from the Sioux Falls Jaycees for financial support of the 2017 4th of July fireworks celebration.
Point of order, Madam Chair.
Yes.
You forgot the opportunity for public
I
comment.
did. So sorry. Back to opportunity for public comment. Thank you for keeping me in line.
Thank you, Commissioner, Madam Chair. Bob Lutz from the Auditor's Office, and today I wanted to present to you Vicki Hewitt, who is our new accounting manager. We just started Monday with her, and as Kim transitions into the ERP implementation, we'll be seeing more and more of Vicki up here, and so I wanted to introduce you to her and just give her a Minnehaha welcome aboard. Because
Well, thank you. Welcome.
Welcome.
We're very excited to have you on board.
I'm excited as well, so thank you.
Nice to meet you.
All right. So now anybody else for public comment now that I'm on task? Okay. So now we are on item 10. And we are glad to have Travis Arneson here today. And we will consider the request from the Sioux Falls Jaycees for the financial support of the 2017 4th of July fireworks celebration.
Good morning, Commissioners. One more time. For time's sake, I will have Edith go over this request. I'm Edith Arneson. I'm Travis's wife. And with us today, we actually have our daughter, Grace Arneson, and then our more or less adopted son, Colton Elbers. The Sioux Falls Jaycees is a young leadership organization, and these are two young people that have been involved with many different projects that we do, but want to learn more. So that's why we're coming to you after school got out of session instead of beforehand, because they wanted the experience. But thank you for allowing us to take time for your continued support of the Sioux Falls Jaycees 4th of July celebration through past donations through the commission as well as personally for some of you. This has been and is the fireworks show for the Sioux Falls and surrounding communities. This year marks our 50th anniversary, and we're so excited. The 4th of July celebration cost about $35,000 this year to keep it free to the public. The fireworks themselves cost about $16,000, and that doesn't include all the free ones that Lou's are throwing in this year for the 50th anniversary. The inflatables and other things going on for the kids to participate in, including face painting, Phil Baker, we have a cartoon artist, a hula hoop dancer. That cost is around $4,000. The other $15,000 is spent on food, courtesy carts for the elderly and those who need assistance getting from the parking lots up to the stage. Other equipment such as the two-way radios, the EMTs, the security, cleanup, and other miscellaneous items. And in addition to the municipal band playing, we're doing a concert this year as well in honor of the 50th anniversary. We're going to be having the singing contractors will be performing before and after the fireworks. I don't know if you've seen them on YouTube, but you should check them out. They're pretty cool. And we're really excited about that part of it. None of this would be possible, though, without the generous donations of organizations and businesses in the Sioux Falls area that have stepped up to help sponsor this community event. Some have been partnering with us for the last 3 to 5 years and deserve just as much credit for the event as we do. We especially want to recognize Grand Falls Casino, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, Local 426, the IBEW, First Bank and Trust, they are major sponsors for the last 3 to 5 years. Over $2,500 at least for all of them. And then we have littler sponsors, and I don't know if we can put a list up there or not, at some point anyway, but Nordstrom's, First Premier Bank, US Bank, Elite Business, Omni Restoration, and the list goes on as far as those that have contributed. Another way that we have been offsetting the cost is through our raffle tickets. This year, thanks to Domino's, the tickets are $5 each, but through the generous donation to Domino's, you actually save $8 when you purchase it. It's good for a large 3-topping pizza from Domino's, so it's only $8. So you get $3 by purchasing a ticket. And you get a chance to win $1,000 thanks to an anonymous donor for the grand prize. At this point, though, we're still about $16,000 short, so we would appreciate any support that you would consider helping us out celebrate our 50th anniversary. And our website is being updated, siouxfallsjcs.org, to reflect the schedule of events for that day, as well as how to become a volunteer and/or sponsor or donor. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact Travis or myself. And our number is listed there, 335-5798. And again, the siouxfallsjcs.org is the website to go to for more information. Any questions?
Well, I don't think so. We really appreciate you guys coming. This is a great event. I know lots of people kind of plan their whole 4th of July celebration around this event. So we thank you for all the work you guys have done over the years, and this should be a great celebration, it sounds like. Carol looked pretty excited about the singing contractors, so we'll have to.
We were just on the phone with them yesterday, in fact, and they're very excited to come to South Dakota, so we're excited.
Good. All right, maybe next year Commissioner Barth will do the hula dancing for you.
Wow. Motion? That would be a motion.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Bender.
Yes.
I just thank you very much, Travis, for coming. You've been coming to these meetings all the years that I've been here, and your family has done a tremendous amount of work in the JCs to keep this party going, I guess, if that's what you want to call it, and it sounds very exciting. This year, I commend you on the idea of the raffle tickets. I think that's great, and I'd be interested in buying some raffle tickets.
Leave some raffle tickets.
Yeah, but as far as the county giving money, we don't have anything budgeted for this year going in, and I'm sure you're well aware of how we feel our budget is very tight. I love the fact that you come because I think it's important to tell the community over our TV show that we're looking for funding for this, and I think it's great. So many people from our community have stepped up, and hopefully more businesses will. At this point, in our budget, I just don't feel like I can support a motion to put more funding forward, but I am all in favor of what you guys are doing. I think it's a great program, so.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else?
I would make a motion, or we don't even have to have a motion if we, is there anyone else, I guess, that this was to consider a request, so.
I don't think we have a motion, so thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. Mhm.
Leave some tickets.
Okay, that takes us to item 11, to consider a motion to authorize the chair to sign an agreement between the state of South Dakota and Minnehaha County to transfer from the state to the county certain highway right-of-way jurisdiction, operational and maintenance responsibilities to the portion of South Dakota Highway 17 and the portion of 472nd Avenue. DJ Boothie.
Good morning, Commissioners. DJ Boothie, Highway Superintendent. This agreement has been a long time coming. We've been working on the negotiation for this agreement for several years, and it all started probably before I started, but the South Dakota Department of Transportation had in their long-term vision of Highway 17 that was no longer to be classified as a state route, and it should be more of a local collector route. And so they began working with counties south of us, and last year they executed an agreement with Lincoln County, turning over, I think, 9 miles of South Dakota 17 to Lincoln County, so it would be under Lincoln County's jurisdiction. And then we came to an agreement here just within the last couple of months in Minnehaha County for a similar agreement. Now, the terms of the agreement is to turn over the full jurisdiction of the state highway to Minnehaha County. And jurisdiction, it entails not only the legal ownership of the property that the highway right-of-way is in itself and the road that it sits on, but also several maintenance responsibilities. The maintenance responsibilities are listed out in the agreement to include snow removal, pavement markings, repairs and improvements, permanent signing, drainage, access management, utility management, compliance with American with Disabilities Act, and any other things that go along with the ownership and jurisdiction of a highway right-of-way. Those items that I listed off, those 8 items, are the majority of the items, the things that we deal with every day. But anything and everything you can possibly think of that happens on a highway would be our responsibility. In the negotiations, the way that this works in our state is the state DOT will contact the local agency or the agency such as Minnehaha County that will be taking over the right-of-way and start talking about what it costs to take care of that road section. And both the state and Minnehaha County take really good cost accounting records of all of the roads that we take care of. And so we're able to compare and critique each other's numbers, if you want to say that, and basically come to an agreed upon dollar amount for how much it will cost for Minnehaha County to take care of that for a period of time. Using a combination of our numbers and their numbers, we came to about a 35 year life cycle cost of what we both agreed it will cost Minnehaha County to take care of that road section. And the dollar amount that we came up with ends up being about $1.64 million. And so we're 100% comfortable with that number and have no second guesses or no concerns with taking over this road section. It's adjacent to another part of our road network, and so we're going to easily be able to fit that into our snow removal program, our maintenance schedules. This road was constructed, I think, 8 or 9 years ago, brand new, and so we know exactly where it's at in its life cycle, and we're going to very easily be able to implement our maintenance procedures with this road network, or with this road section. It's about a 3-mile road section from the south border of Minnehaha County up to the State Highway 42. And so with that, the payment of $1.64 million, we made sure that we included a statement that we kind of got from our state attorney's office and the Lincoln County agreement. There's a statement that reads, that the proceeds, the $1.64 million, will be used for County Highway Department purposes, including road construction and maintenance, bridge construction and maintenance, facility construction and maintenance, and equipment purchasing and repair. And so the reason that was included in there, and we've had a lot of conversation about this over the last year or two, is because when we have funds that go into the highway fund, those are specifically by statute called out for use for highway supervision, maintenance, and repair. And so the facility portion of that is not allowed out of the highway fund. And so we wanted to make sure that this statement was in there to allow for facility construction or costs related to facility construction and maintenance. That's what Lincoln County did. They just recently completed their highway department building, and they used the proceeds from their agreement with South Dakota 17 in the construction of their facility. And so I've spoken about this with Kirsten Kappmeyer, old state attorney, and also our auditor's office. We're recommending that the commission chairman sign this agreement, and then also in the motion include that the proceeds, the $1.64 million, will be deposited into the building fund, and that's so we don't have to do a transfer later on and move the money from the highway fund to the building fund, and then there's no confusion of what money was in the building fund or what money was in the highway fund, and we won't have any confusion there. So with that, if you have any questions about the agreement itself, I can certainly entertain any questions.
Commissioner Barth?
DJ, it looks like there's at least 3 bridges on this thing. Are they in good shape?
They're in very good shape, and they're not really bridges. They're considered structures by statute. They're large culverts, and they were all replaced with the reconstruction of the roadway. We have inspected each one of them, and they're in good state of repair.
Does the Dakota Access Pipeline go under this?
I think that it does. We did not do a utility locate on the road section, but now that you say that, I do think that it does cross it, yeah.
That doesn't worry us, so they'd have to compensate us,
No.
I'm sure. Okay.
It is encased if it is a
Thank you.
crossing.
Are there any other questions for DJ? Commissioner Karski?
I don't know how important it is, but State Highway 17 as it was or stands now kind of begins in the middle of nowhere and ends in the middle of nowhere, so I can understand why the state wants to get rid of it or get it off their records, and it probably should be a county highway. Do we number this as a county highway then? How's that reflected?
Yeah, our standard practice, when this process has been completed in the past, and this was a long time ago, for example, north of Del Rapids, there's Old Highway 77. We're not going to follow that nomenclature because we've got our own highway naming system. And so this will be County Highway 145, which we've got a way that we determine that, but it'll be County Highway 145.
Any other questions? Auditor Litz, did you have something you wanted to say?
I did. Bob Litz from the Auditor's Office. And I wanted to just say that we support this notion about taking these, depositing these jurisdictional transfer funds take that money and put it into the building fund under a highway facility account. Would see, and the reasons that the Auditor's Office think that prudent is currently the highway seems to be adequately funded. This is also a rare occasion that we can take money and put it into a facilities account. State law is very prescriptive about the highway dollars and its uses, and Minnehaha County is a rarity as far as counties go in that we do not take any general fund dollars and put them into highway, thereby allowing highway to improve their facilities and modernize them. We're just in a difficult position in that regard. And the other thing that I've heard said a couple of times today was if we take this money and put it in highway, we can take it back out and put it in the building fund. I'm not so certain about that status today, and we'd need a Department of Legislative audit in order to do that. I think we probably got some pretty strong grounds for doing that, but I'm not certain about it. This situation kind of reminds me a few years ago when the city did the buyback from the state. Minnesota Avenue, 12th Street and 10th Street ran through, and it was the same situation. And at that time, as I recall it, it was about control of zoning on the edges of those highways, taking it out of the state hands and giving it to us more local control as the city and the county grew. So we're recommending that it goes into the building fund under an account for highway facilities.
That would be my motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. DJ, it looks like you're the next couple ones. So now we're on item 12. Consider a motion to authorize the chair to sign a joint agreement between Minnehaha County and the City of Brandon for structure 50-284-170 Redwood Boulevard Bridge.
Commissioners, as you're aware, in 2016, we reconstructed what we call the Redwood Boulevard Bridge over Split Rock Creek, which is on the northeast corner of Brandon. There's a picture, actually during construction, we took some aerial photography there. The yellow shading is the annexation limits of the city of Brandon. And so you can see that they've annexed parcels that include a portion of that structure, but not the entire structure. And so without getting into too much detail, the annexation process and the jurisdictional process for a structure, for a road right-of-way, is complicated, and with this only being a partial annexation of the structure, it's not black and white that the city of Brandon would take over full-time or long-term ownership and jurisdiction of that structure. That being said, they did want to have some improvements completed along with the bridge construction, and most notably widening to the south with the addition of some sidewalk. And so those costs are significant when you're talking about bridge construction because of the actual structure that's needed to support the bridge or the sidewalk itself. We were happy to comply and work with the city of Brandon and make sure that they got sidewalk that will eventually extend out east of the structure on Redwood Boulevard. But we did not want to have to pay for 100% of the costs out of the county funds. And so we entered into some negotiations, developed a draft of an agreement for sharing the fund or sharing the cost of this addition to the project, and that agreement is attached to this this briefing memo. And the way that it reads is that the county will maintain ownership of this structure, and that will continue until further annexation, but the county will maintain jurisdiction of this structure as of now, and we will complete the regular maintenance on the structure. The city of Brandon will help out with the annual cost for that maintenance. They're going to pay us $1,000 a year at the end of the year for our maintenance that we have completed on the structure, which is, in my opinion, a fair cost. And then for the construction of the actual sidewalk itself, they're going to remit payment to the county, $276,360. And so our state attorney's office was involved in the creation of this agreement. Their contract attorney, Lisa Marceau, was involved in the creation of this agreement. Everybody's reviewed it. And the city council of Brandon or the mayor has already signed this agreement, and it was acted on by the city council. So today we're asking for your approval and chairman's signature of the agreement, joint agreement with the city of Brandon and Minnehaha County.
Any questions, Commissioner Karski?
I'm not going to try to second guess all these attorneys and elected officials, but it just seems odd to me, and I apologize for not maybe looking at this a little bit harder, but why wouldn't they just take over the whole bridge? It's a brand new bridge. There's going to be almost zero maintenance costs for a long time, maybe some painting or striping. It just seems odd that they'd only want to take over or annex a portion of the bridge. Have you seen this before, or is this common?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's a fair question, and obviously it's the first question that Highway Department brings up too with the municipalities that have bridges that are adjacent or on their borders. In the case of Brandon, and we've seen this in Baltic too, there's a small maintenance staff or street maintenance staff, utility staff that typically is employed by the agency, and they don't have the resources or the know-how to take care of structures. Mm-hmm. And the financial resources are also a consideration. In a bridge like this, it's not nearly as of a concern because it's a brand new structure. But they don't have the staff to go out there and do the annual maintenance on it. And so that's their biggest drawback is they wouldn't know really what to do because they haven't been trained on it. And so we're happy to help out with that. In the case of Brandon, again, they did annex in McCarty Park on the south side of town. There is a structure on a city street through the park there, and that is their 100% their jurisdiction. We will complete the maintenance on that on an annual basis and send them an invoice for our costs, and that's only because we perform annual training for our bridge maintenance staff. They're certified in bridge maintenance, and the city of Brandon, their public works staff is more trained for manholes and street maintenance and that kind of thing. So going back to your original question, I think it's just this is our business, this is our wheelhouse, and it's not necessarily theirs at this time. And so it's easier for both parties for us to continue doing the maintenance and then just paying for a portion of it.
Okay, thanks.
Commissioner Barth?
I called Superintendent Boothie on this issue also, and it looks very odd there that, but it's apparently the parcel that determined the line that has been annexed, and I can see why attorneys might favor it because there could easily be a dispute over whose side of the, were they breaking a city ordinance or a county ordinance when they threw that empty pop can on the street. But I also know that on the west side of Sioux Falls that the city of Sioux Falls annexed the right-of-way of Maple Street all the way out to where they built McGovern School. And I really would feel more comfortable if, if they would have annexed this whole section of the road right-of-way and, contracted with us to do the maintenance. I just, if Dean was on the south side of the road and I punched him standing on the north side, am I violating a county or a city ordinance? We'll let the lawyers and judges figure it out, and I bet that it would take a lot of them.
Commissioner
No
Heiberger.
comment.
I will support this. I'm just wondering, the reimbursement amount that the city's gonna pay the county, will that automatically go into the highway fund, or do we need to have a motion to support that, those funds be going into the highway department?
I think that the motion today should include that it goes into the highway fund. We discussed this over the course of the past week, hoping that there was a chance that we'd again be able to put it into the building fund or somewhere else. But because this is a reimbursement basically of a direct cost out of the highway fund, I think that it's best to put it back into the highway fund.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve this agreement with reimbursement amount from the city of Brandon going into the highway department.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Reluctantly, aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes basically unanimously, I think, so. All right, thank you. That takes us to item 13. Consider a motion to authorize the chair to sign an agreement with the South Dakota Department of Transportation for 2017 pavement striping program. Do I have to read all the numbers? Okay, good.
I make a
DJ.
motion-
All right, Commissioners, every year the DOT coordinates with local governments across the state to provide a striping program. It's basically a benefit to have one very large contract for striping in a region, and then have a contractor go through that region and stripe all the roads, rather than everybody doing their own striping contract. And so the way that they calculate sharing costs and things is based off the funding availability and the amount of miles that actually need to be striped that year. What they've done this year is they have given us a total estimated project cost of $266,265, and that's to stripe every single road mile on our system with about 365 miles. The program limit, the amount of money that the state will share for our participating costs is $98,036.97. So that leaves us with an estimated project cost out of the county is $207,442.90. And that might change a little bit depending on the miles that they actually end up striping based off of our construction projects that we have active during the project. But this is a good program for us. They take care of the coordination with the contractor, which would be a large burden on our resources with our staffing. And then they also process payments and everything else. And so they essentially send us a bill at the end of the project for how much our cost share is. And so we're happy to participate in it. We get a little bit of financial help out of it. But the biggest thing is just we don't have to spend the resources to get the project done. So asking for your approval and signature on the agreement with the DOT for the 2017 pavement striping program.
Motion to approve? Oh.
I'll second it, and I just want to question, just to clarify, DJ, the $266,265.08, that is just our county's striping. We're not sharing it across the entire statewide system, correct?
That's correct, yep. There's a region that they're performing this project in, and I think their total budget in the region is $833,000. So of that $833,000, I think we're around the $266,000 mark.
Any further discussion? Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, DJ.
Thank you.
That takes us to item 14. Consider a motion to authorize use of the budgeted grandstand improvement funds to replace the hand railings at the fairground grandstand. Mark Krenz.
Good morning, Commission. Mark Krenz, Facilities Department. I revisited the proposals that were brought forth last Tuesday, and to get more clarification, I couldn't get an apples to apples quotes because I had one company that wanted to replace the whole fencing structure. I had one that wanted to just put supports on the ones that were rusted completely off, and then I had one that wanted to just fabricate all the supports, and then we would have to find somebody to install them. The issue now is the time constraints. American Fence is the company that wanted to redo the whole fence, and they could get it done by the fairgrounds, by the time that the fair starts this year. They were at $23,427, and that's cut the existing ones off, put new ones on, painted, everything. Sunderman was one of the other ones that could get some of the work done by the fair time. What they would do is they would just build some supports. We would go locate the ones that were in most need of rusted off or whatever that we wanted to replace, and then we would have to come back at a later date, paint them, add the rest of them, or whatever we wanted to do at that time. I was out there last week and I looked at them, and it's not only where the posts go into the mortar, but that's rotted off or rusted through, but it's also where the top rail meets some of the verticals are starting to rust. So I don't know if putting supports on is the right thing to do, because I think eventually it's just gonna all have to come down anyway. So we had the funds available. I'm gonna recommend replacing the entire fence with American Fence Company. We can get it done by the fair, and we won't have to come back and keep band-aiding it every year. So, are there any questions for me?
Any questions?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, that takes us to item 15. Carol Muller.
Good morning, Commissioners. Carol Muller, Commission Administrative Officer. Before you is the annual contract that we receive from the state of South Dakota. This is reimbursement from them for the detoxification program that we do. In order to access these dollars, we need to be accredited with the state of South Dakota, which we are. We just had a reaccreditation last year. I think it was last fall is when it was, but they passed with very good scores. And part of that is that we're able to submit for reimbursement for those people that meet the qualifications that the state has. Any questions that I can answer for you at all regarding this annual contract?
Any questions? Doesn't appear so. If not,
Motion to approve.
Second.
okay, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes unanimously. Thank you. That takes us to item 16, Minnehaha County Commissioner Liaison Reports. Are there any liaison reports?
Madam Chair?
Yes,
I
Commissioner
would
Barr.
just say that as a group, we've been meeting on ambulance issues, and I kind of referenced that earlier with Dr. Luther, and we had some pretty extensive discussion over emergency management, and I think that whole thing is going pretty well.
Good. Good. I think we'll hear more about that at budget next week. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, that takes us to item 17, new business. Is there any new business? Mr. Litz?
Bob Litz from the auditor's office again. A while back, I came in under new business and told the commission about efforts to certify some new equipment and software that the state of South Dakota needs. Minnehaha County needs it in particular, and we've been successful with that process. Last week I was out in Pierre for a few days. We did the certification process, and then the State Board of Elections, of which Maggie Gillespie happens to be on, also approved that. And so we're going to put in a little bit of time. We've got a meeting in February to go over Minnehaha County's needs and also a testing session. Jason Turing from IT came out there with us and was very interested in the process. And overall, things look pretty favorable, but we still have to test it and put it under a load. There's a world of difference between running a couple hundred ballots, 25 at a crack through one machine, and putting the load on it from 3 machines like we do here in Minnehaha County. So more to be revealed, but good news so far. So.
Okay, thank you very much.
Chair, can I ask Bob a question?
Absolutely.
Bob, you didn't do it, but how did the city, the school board election in Sioux Falls go in your, they kept you out of the box, so to speak, on it. Did it go all right, do you think?
Well, apparently I didn't read about anything in the paper, so they either got a pass or they did well. So.
Questions? All right, thank you. Is there any other new business? Any old business? Okay, if there's no old business, I'd entertain a motion to go into executive session for personnel.
That's my motion.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, thank you. Thank you for coming this morning, everyone.